She is the founder of the Missionaries of Charity. And in my estimation, she is the most wonderful woman of the 20th century. She belonged to the congregation of the nuns of Loreto. And already being a nun, she says she heard a call within the call. She already knew from a very young age that her heart belonged to Jesus, that she was called to be a nun, but even already being a nun, she received a new call, a new mission, a new direction in her life to take care of the poor among the poorest. And she was faithful to that calling. When you think about the 20th century and you think about the communist regimes and the great disputes between atheists and believers and all those arguments and discussions and all the intelligent people trying to convince each other, Mother Teresa responded to that argument with her life. Because her love for the poor was the greatest testimony that God is alive and that God exists. When she received this call within a call, it was the year 1946. And she heard Jesus saying, "I thirst." And she knew that her calling in life was to satiate that thirst of Jesus. And throughout her life, she encouraged her nuns and helped them see that their calling was to satiate the thirst of Jesus. And she says, we do this through three ways: love in prayer, love to the poor, and loving our sisters. That's how you respond to that thirst that Jesus has. So I thought that it would be a good reflection for us. How does God call you in your life to satiate His thirst? Because the life of this saint, of Saint Teresa of Calcutta, her whole life was about responding to that thirst, tending to that thirst, wanting to alleviate His thirst. And I think that connects so beautifully with the Sacred Heart of Jesus that we celebrate today, a devotion that also calls to our love, our consolation to His Sacred Heart. So brothers and sisters, I finish with this. How is it that God calls you in your life to respond to His thirst? How can you quench His thirst? How can you be more selfless, less selfish, and more oriented towards His thirst, His needs, His love? So today, let's find inspiration in this amazing saint, that we too could be a little less concerned with our own needs and be more oriented to quenching His thirst in the ways that He calls us. Whatever way He calls us, I know it will be the way of love, the way of being more selfless. A few years ago, I had the great joy of reading the book, Come Be My Light. It's a collection of the writings and the letters of Saint Teresa of Calcutta. It's a really amazing book. If you haven't had the chance to read her writings, or if you don't know much about her life, I can guarantee that you won't regret reading that book. I very vividly remember her writings to the Archbishop of Calcutta asking for permission to start her mission. And he was very reluctant initially to give her permission, but to see how obedient she was, but at the same time how persistent and how resolved to do God's will, it was an amazing example to me of religious obedience and Christian obedience. So I strongly encourage you to read the book, Come Be My Light.